Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning. We've got Kymi Swanepoel that's going to present the personal development, achieving your goals, so career goals. So without any further ado, Kymi, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we really look forward to your presentation today.
Thank you very much. You're going to control this camera, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
There we go.
Welcome, everyone. Nice to see some faces for a brief moment before I start all my slides. Otherwise, I always feel like I'm just talking to the computer screen. Hello. Okay, let's hope this goes without a flaw. I do apologize for the background behind me. That is my husband's side of the office, and this is my side. My side is very neat. His side is not very neat, but we'll be off of that shortly. So I'm going to start the slides and begin this because an hour is really tight for me to try to do all this talking in. So we'll start shortly. Let me see if this works.
Just while Kymi is setting up the screen there, please note you can ask any questions after the presentation, just to assist her to get through all the slides. Okay, Kymi, so I can see your presentation. We're good to go.
Excellent. Okay. And everyone can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And just to confirm, all these pop-up boxes will.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
Kymi. Yes, sorry, I accidentally muted you there. My bad.
The joys of technology. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. And we are going to be talking about achieving your career goals and choosing the right path for you. So onwards and outwards, it's 9:32. I say we just get going here. Let's see if this works. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry, Francois, there are so many pop-ups. I can't hardly see my screen.
Which pop-ups is that?
Everyone waiting in lobby and pictures. Can I minimize all this?
Yes, I'm sure you can.
And now I'm trying to get to, there we go.
That's
okay, you can see that.
Yes.
All right, we should be good. Okay, now we'll start. Okay, everyone, I figured the best way to start all of this was to give you a bit of a background on my own experiences, because I'm going to play back to that every now and again. And you'll see some of the great things I did and mistakes I did over the years, because unfortunately, I didn't have someone as cool as you do right now to teach me all this stuff when I was much younger. So I did some things right, I made some mistakes, and I'm going to use myself as the test dummy for this. So to give you a very brief summary on my career, I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater back in 1994, really dating myself here. And I had a graphic design major with a public relations minor. This here is my work history following university. So my first job, I got what at the time I considered my dream job for just getting out of university. I was marketing director at another university. So that was perfect because now I'm still in the university vibe. I'm around people my own age. I get free food because it was for dining services. So I never learned how to cook. I could eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there while I was working. So it was a really, really great job. And then I made the mistake. 4 years into the job, I did start getting tired of it because it turned into like a 7-day-a-week job. In the weekends, because we were a university, we have very large function rooms. So we would do lots of functions, lots of weddings, things like that. And I ended up working 7 days a week and got hutful, as you guys say here. And I waited too long to get out of it. Then I finally took the first job that I could find because I was so desperate to leave that. And I became marketing director for a home improvement company. What that doesn't tell you, though, is that meant that I had staggered hours every day, sometimes daytime, sometimes nighttime, sometimes split, and I managed a telemarketing department. Now that's a really, really depressing and stressful job, hence why I'm still nice to all telemarketers to this day. Because with that, you've got people screaming. It was mostly university students that I had working for me. We had a room of about 20 doing live calls out of a phone book back then. and they would get yelled at, they'd get sworn at, everything. I'd have students or employees crying, wanting to go home, quitting first day on the job, that sort of thing. So that I made a mistake as well. I didn't like the job after about a month, but it never occurred to me I could leave it off my CV. So I stuck it out for 1 year thinking that was the minimum that I should work for a job, or it looked wrong. It wouldn't look good on the resume. So I worked there for 1 year. Then I thought, okay, I've got graphic design, public relations, marketing. I need some sales experience. I got a job for 2 years doing ad specialty. So I did the sales. It wasn't really my thing, but it was interesting to do, and I learned a lot about sales in that position. And then I finally stumbled upon my future career path where I wanted to go. But now this is, like you see, 7 years into my working world. And I became the director of retail for Whistling Straits and Black Wolf Run. And 7 years after university, that's where I finally found my niche, not really having a plan, just kind of fumbling along as I went. That led to 15 years ago, well, actually, yeah, no, sorry, 20 years ago, I came here to South Africa. It'll be 20 years this May, and working for Global Golf, in which I worked for them until 2020. And then at the same time, I had started my own company, Retail Savvy, where, as most of you know me from, I've worked all over the country with different golf courses for that. So the reason I'm just giving you this background is because, like I said, I've done things right and I've done things wrong. I'm happy with the way it worked out in the end, fortunately, but I'll be following up on some of these points as I go through the different slides here, tying back to this. So you now know my whole history, basically. Okay, so today's plan is going to be 5 different chapters. So first off, honestly knowing yourself. This is the key to guide your decisions. Then assessing the right job opportunities for your needs, building work and personal experience in the right directions, determining your career plan and achieving it, and lastly, creating and enhancing your CV or resume. So according to Apollo Technical, the average person has around 12 jobs in their lifetime. And most people, since starting their first job after university, sorry, not most, but since starting their first job after university, like me, 29% of people have completely changed fields. And around 70% of all working age people are actively looking for a job change. So it's not an easy, I'm going to solve all your problems today, and you're going to know exactly what you want to do with your life after this. But this should at least give you some guidance that I didn't have back then, talking in the 90s, or how to go about things. I mean, a high school assessment test that I took years ago told me I should become a forest ranger. And I definitely never wanted to become a forest ranger, so I'm glad I took a different route than that. But I want to give you guys a better path and a better plan for how to actually make the career work for you, because there's a lot of tricks and tips and things to do that I've even learned in researching this and from my own experiences that I hope will help you today. So first off, we're going to talk about honestly knowing yourself, the key to guide all of your decisions. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So to begin with, you need to understand a lot of things about yourself and who you are. I've just listed a few of them here to give you an idea. I don't know how many of you guys are looking at this on a cell phone. I'm hoping most of you are looking at larger screens for my text. But these are some of the things, and you can easily Google this, things you need to know to understand yourself. But these are some of the topics for what you want in a job. You need to understand your values. Is it most important that you have stability, a job that's going to last a long time? Are you money focused? Do you want prestige? What are your interests? What do you want to do in life? Do you want to work with people, animals, objects, data? Understanding your own personality and different aspects of that, your hard and soft skills, your likes and dislikes, both in life and employment. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are you great with time management, but you suck at public speaking, or vice versa? Knowing these kind of things. So to begin with, if we were doing this as an assignment type thing, I would have you guys list out, and this is what I'm hoping you will do after all this, and you start planning your careers further. Make a list of these kinds of things and put down anything else that you think of that really breaks it down for you. Because yeah, we can think of it in our heads all the time. I'm this kind of person, I'm that, but we also change a bit daily. So really concentrating on it, writing it down, getting a feel for these sort of things, putting it on paper is a great start. Now that leads to the big 5 personality traits. And if you have not ever heard of these, it's quite fascinating. Jordan Peterson reads a lot about this too. So basically the big 5, it describes the human personality, temperament, and psyche. And Everyone falls into one of these five: the openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and emotional stability. And these five make up your personality. But there's a range within each one. So for emotional stability, are you sensitive and nervous up to resilient and confident? You're going to be somewhere in between. We all are. We have different variations of these. So what's actually really helpful is to get along with the previous slide, is getting an understanding of where you are, where you fall into this. And now most people can say, oh, I'm this and this and this, and I can break it down myself. But in studies, 95% of people claim to be self-aware. We know who we are, we know what we want, we've got it all down. But studies have shown that in actuality, only 10 to 15% of people are truly self-aware. The reason being is that we as humans are prone to self-deception. Our egos want to protect us, and they actually tend to distort our reality to fit the self-image of what we want to be. So we tend to overestimate our intelligence, our generosity, that we don't have biases certain ways. Other people have more biases than us because these are desirable traits. And so it's important to have a really good understanding of this. And what I recommend you see at the bottom right of your screen is a website called 16personalities.com. And it's free. And I've done it previously too. The one thing I recommend is if you go onto this, do it on a day. You can't do it on a day where you're in a bad mood because your answers are going to reflect that. So make sure that if you go and you do this test, it takes, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. I forget exactly. I did it a while ago. But it's just multiple choice, picking it all out, and it will help rate you on these different personality traits and where you fall into place. But do it on a day where you're either kind of average mentality, average how you're feeling, or in a really positive mood. Don't do it if you're in a bad mood, because then this will change. It would change from day to day as you take it, but try to answer the questions slowly and honestly, and it gives you a really nice breakdown of how you fall in these 5 personality traits. And even further detailing. It's really, really a good site. Okay. Then, now how I told you before that most people claim to be self-aware, but we aren't truly. One of the things I really recommend for people is this is all about learning yourself. Remember, that's where we need to start. We need to understand who am I and what do I want. So in addition to taking these tests and writing down these the types of ways that you feel that you are, peer evaluations are actually a really brilliant way. I know it's a little embarrassing to ask people to rate you and give feedback, but it's such good feedback using family, friends, peers, anybody you know. And these are just some sample questions I put together. Again, you can Google this, and there's a ton of different questions you can use. But it helps give you that feedback that you might not see and how you're displaying yourself to other people. So these were some sample ones that I just did. You don't need to make it long, but questions like this: would you consider me to be a good listener? Do I manage stress well? Am I easy to talk to? Do I take criticism well? You can put anything else on there that you like and make up a little 5 or 10 question thing. But try considering peer evaluations too, because this gives you feedback outside of how you perceive yourself, which is a really important angle to have. Okay, next we're going to go on to assessing the right job opportunities for your needs. So we've in the first part, we've kind of gotten a feel for hopefully for how we are and what kind of person we are and what's important. Now it's getting the job opportunities that will suit this personality that you've laid out for yourself. So the first thing to understand is there are going to be employment considerations and personal considerations in any job that you take. Employment considerations, again, these are just a few that I've listed to give you an idea. What is the minimum income that you would find acceptable? You've obviously, at different points in your life, wherever you're at now, I don't know the ages of the different people I'm talking to or career paths that they're at, but you have a minimum income you know you have to have. Are you willing to relocate for a job, or would you do a commute? Would you do a reasonable commute or a long commute? Are you willing to go into further training or education if it's required? What are the hours you are willing to work, benefits, things like that? So this is another list. This is our next list we're going to talk about. So it's going through what you need out of a job. And then there's also personal considerations. So what are your current or future family plans that you have to take into consideration for whatever job you work at? Again, going back to like the beginning, is it more income or satisfaction that you want? Again, is there a minimum you need? Long-term location, where do you want to be? Are you in a place you're happy at or not? And again, commute, work, travel. These are just some different ideas. To give you a personal example, my husband and I, we have a catamaran, and years ago we wanted to send it to the Caribbean. Now, with work, neither of us can take off the month, 2 months, 3 months that it takes to relocate a boat all the way from South Africa to the Caribbean. So what you do in this situation is you hire a skipper who has qualification, of course, to do all this. And then, like some other things, with you're going to need crew. But the nice thing is, in this industry, the crew are always trying to earn hours because their qualification is based on having so many hours at sea, being on a boat, managing the boat, that sort of thing. So crew are very keen to find an opportunity to do a crossing because then they get long hours, a lot of hours right in one go because it might take you, I think ours, because they made a few mistakes, took them about 2.5 months to get over to the Caribbean. So you pretty much got all your hours at that point. However, we had to interview crew for this. So we had different people coming to us, and these are mostly people not too long out of high school, sorry, out of matric. And so they're anywhere from 18 to 22 on average, and they're desperate to get their hours. They need access to a boat, and what we were offering, a trip to the Caribbean and then fly them back again, was perfect. And we had one kid that came, very nice guy. I think he was about 18, 19, just out of school. And he came actually for the interview with his whole family, mom, dad, sister, everything. And he was so gung-ho and desperately wanted this, couldn't wait to get on the boat, was positive about all of it, sure that it was going to be the greatest experience of his life. And so he was one of the crew we hired. We only hired two. So you've got your skipper and two crew. And remember, when you're sailing a boat across an ocean, you don't park it at night. It has to go all the way through 24 hours a day. So they take shifts all day long. And this kid, I don't even remember his name anyway, but he ended up about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the job, desperately missing his girlfriend and his mom. So he clearly didn't understand personal considerations, employment considerations for what was going to be an issue for him. And so now, if he's doing 4-hour shifts from midnight to 4 o'clock or in the middle of the day and the other crew are sleeping at the time, he is just desperate to talk to his mom and his girlfriend. And what he does in the process, that we only found out about halfway through, any boat is required to have a satellite phone, and you have to put minutes on the phone like a normal phone, but it's an average of about 30 Rand per minute. So we had a 500-minute package on the phone, and it was meant so that you can get texts on it too, so that they could keep sending us back their locations each day. And then if there was an emergency, of course, they had a phone that would work anywhere in the ocean. This kid on his shifts burned up all 500 minutes in a week between talking to his mom, who he missed, and his girlfriend, who he missed. So this is where I'm saying it's important to have an understanding before you get into the job, really know what you are looking for, what these considerations are that you need, that you require. So one of the things I recommend here now is, like I told you with the 16personalities.com, for further considerations in your employment, if you look again bottom right, monster.com, they give you links to 11 free aptitude tests. Now, an aptitude test, again, it's another multiple choice thing. It's no cost to you. They help you understand more about yourself to make informed decisions in your professional journey. These are really something that I recommend doing 2 to 3 or 4, do a few of them, because they're all very different types, and some of them have different focuses too. But what they do is they give you a thorough picture of what kind of job or workplace would generate maximum career satisfaction for you. So check out monster.com, type in the aptitude test, and it'll bring you up to the exact one. It was too long of a link to type in here. And next phase, do some of these and get a feeling for it. Okay, on we go. Now, please understand with this, even all the research, if you've gotten an understanding of yourself, you've gotten an understanding of your personality, your employment considerations, all of that, jobs will still refine and redirect your wants and needs for the next job. Plans change. From a job, you might say, okay, I've been doing this commute, and maybe you're in Johannesburg, or for those of you lucky ones who aren't, and you're saying, okay, I'm only 20 minutes from this golf course that I have to work at. But if you have to go there in traffic, it's 2 hours a day in the car to get there and back. So you might decide after one job, 2 hours in the car each day is too much. I don't want a long commute. If it's an office job, every office day is the same. I want travel. Then if it's travel, I'm tired of staying in hotels. I don't want to travel anymore. So whatever job, whatever experiences you're going through, they're going to strengthen your likes and strengthen your dislikes as well. So understand that this is not a constant thing. It changes as you change, as your experiences change. There's positive things too. You might decide that I love our team is positive. Everyone's working towards the same goal. You like working in a smaller company. You feel like part of the main group. Any job will have this kind of effect on you. What's going to be important? I came here, for those of you that know me, I came here for what was going to be a 2 to 3 year contract. In May, like I said, it would be 20 years. I accidentally stumbled on my husband 2 years into the job. So now it's been a long time and I'm quite happy with it. But you see how big of a plan that change was. I thought I'll come here 2 to 3 years. There's 489 golf courses in South Africa. I'm going to work with so many of them. I'm going to go back to the States and have experience like nobody else in this industry. And that was my plan. I thought this is the greatest move I could do. And I still am happy I did it. But as I say, plans will change as you go through this. So onward and outward. The last part, assessing the jobs, and this is rather critical. It's according to Harvard Business Review, and I thought of all the research I've done, this was the best breakdown of the 5. So when it comes to finally assessing the actual job for you, you have to understand yourself. You've got all this information now that we've acquired through the beginning part of this program. And now you need to do these 5 steps. So first off, research job descriptions. Don't just take the first one that sounds good and the second one. Look at a lot of them. Get a feel for how they're laid out. Go into Seek, Indeed, LinkedIn, company websites if it's company you want to see, but get a feel for different job descriptions and go through a lot of them. Then pay attention to the company culture. Look at the values, the habits, the behaviors that define the environment. Understand what they're known for. You know, if you could talk to people who work there, get a background on the place before. This is before you're even applying. This is assessing the jobs to apply. So try and learn as much as you can. You have the glory of the internet nowadays compared to all those years ago. So learn about the company to see if it's a fit for you. Look into the salary and benefits. You should never walk into an interview without having an idea of what the role should pay. So go to websites like Glassdoor, PayScale, talk to HR people at the company, any personal contacts you have, get a feel for what the salary and benefits should be before you go into it. Number 4, ensure the job meets your career goals. That it is in the direction that you want to go. It's driven by your interests, your values, and the future goals that you have for your career. And lastly, conduct your own background checks. You expect these people, HR or whoever you would be interviewing with, that they're going to check your references and check your job history and run your driver's license number or ID number. So do the same on them. Check out websites, articles, LinkedIn profiles, any kind of social media. Get a feel on the background of the company so that you know what you're going into before you apply for this. Understand the job as clearly as you possibly can. There was a recent survey among 2,500 young adults, and in this survey, 72% were surprised or regretted accepting a role, a job in a position or company because it was different from what they thought the role or job would be. 72%. And that's because they didn't research it enough themselves. And this was my mistake in the beginning. You know, I've got the marketing job where I manage telemarketers. I didn't research it. I just wanted out of the previous job. So do this kind of thing to make sure the jobs are right for you before you just jump in and say, okay, I'm going to do this one. Okay. Next, we're going to go into building work and personal experience in the right directions. Experience is what you get while looking for something else. Okay, there is a Belgian proverb, which I found rather cute, rather apt as well. Experience is the comb that nature gives us after we are bald. I think that makes sense to all of us. So when it comes to building experience, and this applies in 2 ways. For one, if you are someone on here listening to this who has not had a lot of work experience, you're recently out of school, qualification, whatever, then it's good to get experience outside of work that you can still put onto your CV or resume. If you're already working, if you have good work experience, it's still great to build experience. And I'm going to explain all what this is, but these are all different things that you basically can do on the side. Starting a personal project. By personal project, that means any kind of self-initiated project that allows you to practice and develop your skills in a specific area of interest, something that you enjoy doing. So it's something you do on the side. It could be starting a blog, design a graphic, trying that out, write a book, some kind of manual on something you know about. It could be managing a function, some kind of event, running a social media campaign for a business, developing marketing content for a specific audience or even a pretend one. If you were, just trying to go through some of these things to get experience, that can be put onto your resume or CV. Then there's the common ones. Of course, you can do online qualifications, certificates, you can join organizations, networking, all of the things I list here. You probably read through all of these anyway while I've been talking, but this is all the type of things that just helps you build experience. You don't have to put everything on your CV, but they are benefits that you can put on them if need be. And the reason experience, like I said here, experience is different to expertise, and it has a lot of benefits. It allows you to make better decisions in uncertain situations because you deal with a lot more situations. So you'll say, oh, I reacted this way for this situation, so this should work here. It confirms your interest, which is a brilliant thing. Like I said, that kid that didn't want to go on the boat, his experience kind of confirmed that was not a career choice for him to go into. It builds transferable skills. It gives you confidence and self-awareness. It helps you understand your strengths and weaknesses, what you're good at, what you need to improve upon. It helps teach you creative problem solving, and it enhances your offering to an employer, both internally with new skills and traits and externally with qualifications. So experience is just something you can keep doing on the side and keep building, but it's only going to help. It can't hurt. And it's great if it can be something that gives you an edge over just the same things that other people can have on their CV and on their resume. Okay, like I said before, with that job that I had, the first one that was so wonderful in the beginning, all the free food, working in the university environment, I loved it. I didn't know when to change from that job. And I worked for them for probably a good 6 months beyond the point that I should have, which is why I took anything that I could get. I think I applied for one job and I got it, and that ended up being the telemarketing thing, which wasn't fun. But I put this in here just so you guys have an understanding, because it is critical. Don't wait till it's too late. Change a job when you're no longer interested or engaged with your work. At least not change, but start looking. If you don't feel like you're making an impact, if you're jealous of your friends' jobs, if you dread going to work, if you don't see yourself there long term, your salary is below market value for responsibilities, you feel stuck in the role, you can't grow anywhere, your job is affecting your personal life. All of these are reasons that you should at least start looking. Like I said, 70% of people in the working world are continuously looking for a change in a job or a career. So it's not a bad thing, and you're not being disloyal. And if you're even happy in your job, I've never thought there's anything wrong with just kind of looking and checking to see what's out there. You never know. You don't need to be, you're not cheating on your employer. You're just trying to be aware of what's on the market, what's available. And I've always been of the policy that even if I do apply for a job, I've never turned down an interview, because the experience of going through that is such a great experience, even if I'm not that interested in the job. So don't wait till it's too late, like I did with that one, because then you'll be stuck in a job for a year if you think you have to keep it on your resume. Nobody ever told me that I could actually do this for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and then just not put it as a job on the resume. So I thought I had to stick it out. Anyway, we learn in hindsight. Okay. So now, what is our plan so far that we've gone through? I know I'm going through this kind of quick, but there's a lot to cover in all of this, and I don't want to run out of time with all of you guys. So what is our plan so far? Like I said, make a list of your interests, your strengths, your weaknesses, the things we saw on the earlier slide, your values. Put all of this information down and do it over a couple of days. Change it, because you may change from day to day how you feel. Like I said, none of this is set in stone, but have an understanding of, sorry about my dog, have an understanding of where you are in these different categories, and try and take the personality test. There's other ones on the internet. That 16 one is very good, but you can find others as well. Next, have your peers friends, family, assess you, do a quick little quiz. If you can keep it anonymous, it's great. If they're close friends, you're probably going to know their handwriting, although maybe not. Everyone texts things nowadays. Do it online, do it on the phone. I don't know, but have something like that too. Doesn't hurt because it just gives you feedback of how other people perceive you. They say your reputation isn't what I don't know the exact quote, but it's not what you're out there with. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. That's your true reputation. So get that kind of feedback as well. Then take at least 2 or 3, 4 or 5 of these career aptitude tests because they'll give you a much bigger understanding. Maybe you're all meant to be forest rangers like me. And then make a list of your employment, personal considerations, and requirements, like we talked about. Get that down, what you need, and keep in mind all of these can change. Put it on the computer if you want, so it's easier to adjust as years go on. And then evaluate the opportunities to enhance your experience. See if you can take up some kind of experience gaining endeavor or hobby on the side that will still benefit that you can put on there. And then the next step that we're going into is create your career timeline with consideration of all of the above. Okay, so determining your career path and achieving it. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Okay, this is just a simple one. I looked up a lot of these online, and there's all different variations. Many of them I found too busy. I was a graphic design major, remember? So I like things simple and clear. You can use this if you want, print it out, or make one of your own, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Basically, a career timeline simply has you looking into the future, making a plan. And like I said, plans will change, but it gives you a direction to go so that you can build your work efforts and the things you're trying to learn about in that direction. It helps you identify the next steps in your career so you can see what you need to do to be successful and develop to be successful in these steps going here. And I've put the standard ones are 5-year, 10-year, 20. So what you do here, you put down what your current job is, break down the basic requirements, and what would be your goal job in 5 years, and list that out. And again, you can say the companies, you could leave it blank. It doesn't have to be an existing job, but list down the requirements. What do you need, whether it's education, training in certain aspects, where do you need to improve and grow and learn to get to that next 5-year step? And then the same for the 10 and the same for the 20. And it's just putting it on paper, but that keeps it in the back of your mind. And have this posted in your room where you can see it somewhere, or in your office, that you've always got that goal in mind. Then the next step of that, which those of you who have learned from me before, listen to my lectures, but this is an important aspect, so we're going to do it again. It's a lot of text, don't be overwhelmed. This is a made-up one that I did. You don't have to read through all of this or know this. I just wanted to get the idea across. So if you have a career development plan, this is taking it the next step, and we've all learned with the PGA, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And you had to do this in your third-year programs as well. But I don't know how many of you read your feedback from when you did this assignment, so I wanted to have the chance to go over it in a little more detail. Now, I've made up a PGA profile here on the left. This, I don't know if I'm 100% accurate, but I tried to come up with the right thing. So starting with your recently qualified PGA professional, this is under goals and objectives. You want to get to earning a bachelor's degree in business administration or management. We're reading down. Then become a director of golf, then qualify for PGA Master Professional status, and your ultimate goal is to open your own golf school. So if those are your steps, and you can put as many as you want in or as few as you want in, but it's setting them out and then taking actual actions, measurable actions within a time frame to show that you're getting to them. So I'm not going to read through all of this, don't worry, but you can kind of scan over this as I'm talking here, rambling on. So first off, as a PGA professional, you want to learn how each department operates and arrange to shadow peers. Then you need a measurement, and that's where so many people get this wrong. They don't come up with something that makes it actually measurable. So it is putting a defined number to it. So I put in here just as a random thing, but shadow a different golf industry peer 6 times a year. So every 2 months, you would shadow someone else 6 times a year. Easy to keep track of, easy to show that you're achieving your goals. The next one below that is you actually earn the degree that you want. The one below that is you're actually employed as golf director. So it's rather generic, this, but I was just trying to give you the gist of the thing. You can put this as specific or as general as you want, as long as you are making it measurable and putting in timeframes. So hopefully that makes sense and you can look at this. I'm assuming Francois is going to send this to everyone so you can look at these later. Okay, then next, one of my favorite parts, creating and enhancing your CV. Build your own dreams or someone will hire you to build theirs. We want you to stand up from the competition. So again, and no offense to all of those whose CVs look like this, but this is a made-up one, again, that I put together, a made-up person. So nobody take offense if there's anything in here like your own, because I'll put my disclaimer up at the end. That's purely by chance. But I've seen a lot of CVs from associates over the years, and I wanted to show you kind of what I consider the not so good and the very good, and how I've recommended doing this. So this is one that a lot of things I've taken off of here from CVs I've read over the years, and I am so not impressed when I get this. And I understand I'm more of a resume person, being from the States. I believe nowadays that they're kind of more combined. It's not the CV or the resume. You're better off having sort of a combination of the two. CVs are known for having much more information, but I think you go over the top, in my personal opinion. And so everything on here is an example of something that I've seen on one of these that I've graded over the years. So we've got all the details here to Mike Smith, surname Smith, first name Mike Allen, name used professionally. I don't know why anyone puts that in there, but I've seen it. If your name is Mike, but your professional name is Mike too. Way to go, Mike. Your ID number, your nationality, all this stuff. See, we don't do this in resumes in the States because they aren't allowed to ask that many questions about personal things, and you aren't allowed to necessarily tell them. You can't tell them marital status, things like that. So anyway, but what I'm going for is kind of a blend, and that's what we're going to teach here today. But now you can agree with me, I would think, that if this comes across your desk, and this is a short one. I've received some that look just like this, but they're 5, 6, 7 pages long, and it just doesn't catch your attention. The main thing, if I'm an HR person or a hiring manager that I want to now review CVs, I have to go to the bottom of the first page because that's the only part that really interests me. The one job that Mike has had here at Deep Valley Golf Club. And then I read this. Okay, he managed tee times, checked in players, assisted with retail operations, handled transactions, provided customer service, did cash ups, entered phones, P-formed stock counts, spelling errors, opened the shop in the morning and locked it up in the evening. It's just boring. You are just listing your duties. And this doesn't stand out to me with everything else. And then and Mike's still got a spot here for his hobbies and fishing and personal attributes, which are written kind of odd. He's keen. Keen is not something I would use as a personal attribute. There's some better ones you could use. So these are all things that I put in to make it a bad CV. No offense to anyone. There's too much pointless information. Hobbies, professional name. Oh, the classes, education. I don't want to know that you had life skills math. I'm not a fan of listing your high school or matric classes in here anyway. I don't think it's necessary, and it's definitely not necessary as you get older. He also does not have his education in reverse order, which he should have. You want your most recent at the top with your oldest at the bottom, because the person hiring you doesn't care about your high school. They care about your PGA qualification. So it's just making it an easier read. So this is an example of a not so good CV resume. Then I took good old Mike here and I made him a proper one. Let's go to that page. Sorry, I'm still getting pop-ups here. Come on. I just needed to wake up. Hold on. Apparently the computer really likes this. There we go. Okay. Here is Mike Smith again. Now we have condensed his CV, his resume, into one page only, which is, in my opinion, still the best thing you can do. Again, this is all made up. Everything on here is made up. But I like to start with a profile because it shows a little bit of your writing skills. Please don't use AI, people. We'll get into that later. But include a profile or professional summary at the top for a quick overall reference on your background and career goals. This shows personality. This gives a little bit of you, where that previous 2 pages you saw did not show any personality. So Mike here is a highly motivated recent graduate of the PGA of South Africa. Over the past 3 years, through both education and employment, I've gained a solid understanding of the golf industry operations as well as the game itself. He sounds Interested. Oh, he said, I am keen. There, he got to use his keen word, but not in skills. I am keen to continue learning whilst contributing my experience and knowledge to the benefit of a golf property that shares my excitement for this prestigious sport. So that shows a bit of personality, and it gives a nice thing to read in the beginning. So that's already important. Like I said earlier, then too, you want to list your work experience and your education in reverse chronological order. Always have the most recent at the top, because that's what the person reading this is going to be most interested in. And that's also where you should have the most information. So Mike here only has his one job, but you see the difference in how I've qualified his experience versus what he listed on the other one that was just, I did cash ups, I did closing, I did opening. Instead, find things that can really make you stand out. And I've done a lot of resumes, CVs for people over the years in this country too, rewriting what they've done to help them out. So you can see how, here, instead of going into all the detail on the shop, responsible for all retail related activities, including sales, stock management, merchandising, financial oversight, and opening closing procedures. That's a much nicer way of saying it. Then I pull out two key things from what he's done that makes him sound a lot more impressive. Primary liaison, instead of just saying I manage corporate golf days like in the previous one, primary liaison for 36 corporate golf days over a 3-year period, ensured every event was monitored and managed successfully and according to schedule. Also served as golf instructor, providing lessons to 43 students ranging in age from 8 to 56, developed new lesson programs for continual improvement. So this is the kind of stuff you want to make. I'm still saying what Mike did, but in a much better way. And then I go down into his education, which I list the PGA next. I put all his information at the top left. So you've got his phone number, you've got his LinkedIn account, you've got the details there, and it's easy to read. So you use a functional format skills base. That's where we talked about experience outside of work if you've had it too, if you've got little or no work experience. And like I've just explained, for work descriptions, focus on achievements and metrics. We'll get more into the metrics just now, not just what your responsibilities are. And do not include too much personal information. I'm not a fan of personally putting in hobbies, stuff like that, but it gets to be too much, and hopefully you have enough important stuff that you need to get in there. Now, I did put a photo in here just because I thought it looks a bit nicer, but I want to tell you too, photos can disqualify your resume in countries such as the USA, Canada, and the UK. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it can lead to potential discrimination based on race, gender, or ethnicity. So we don't do photos, but a lot of the samples I looked at had them, and I thought it was kind of a nice touch. So sources say you should include a photo in Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America. Do not use a selfie. Please, if I see your arm sticking up your shoulder higher up on one side, that's really not a good touch. Please do not use a selfie. Do match it to your LinkedIn photo, because that's a great thing. Then when they go and look at your LinkedIn, they see the same professional photo there, and it starts making that connection, the visual connection with you if you go with photo. And if you aren't sure about adding a photo with where you're trying to apply, just skip it. Don't even bother. You can't go wrong with not having one in, but you can go wrong with having one in. So just a little side note on that one. Okay. Next. This is a lot of detail in here, but these are kind of some key things to go over. So as I said before, focus on the achievements, not responsibilities when you're going into your job things. Include your LinkedIn profile link and only professional media accounts. If you've got some kind of Snapchat or something like that that's got a bunch of photos, things you don't want seen, Twitter accounts, don't include those. Have a professional email address. Don't have something like strongdude69@gmail.com. Make sure that it's just a very nice email address. So many people actually forget this because they just don't think about what that address is. So make sure it's something professional. Don't be generic in your profile at the beginning, the opportunity to leverage skills and ensure growth. We don't want to hear that generic stuff. This is where you want to not use AI and show some characters, show some personality. So make sure it's saying very important things. Do not use personal pronouns. You can in the very beginning in your professional statement, but do not use it in the job descriptions. It tends to sound kiddie. I did this, me, my, whatever. Use keywords from the job description whenever applicable. All that research we talked about on the earlier slide about looking at the different job descriptions, you pick words out of those and you put them into the resume, and you put them in the cover letter as well. So that's where you are linking it to the job description. Make sure your employers can easily skim your resume. Choose 2 to 3 positions to apply to at a time. Don't try to throw out a standard resume, a standard cover letter to every job. That is not going to work for you if you throw 20 out to 20 different jobs. These are meant to be tailored to each. As I said to you guys earlier, I was a graphic design major, but then I got my first job in marketing. So as I kept applying after that, and my minor was public relations, I had a different resume and I had a different cover letter angle that I would take depending on if I was applying for a marketing job, a PR job, or a graphic design job. You want to tailor it to those jobs to make it as strong as possible. And sometimes it was just changing the order of some of the things, but focus it for the job that you are putting it towards. Ideally, your resume CV should be 1, maybe 2 pages long. I don't personally recommend going beyond that. Some people, if you've got really way out experience, yes, or awards, things like that, but try to keep it short. Once you've set up your resume, please read it out loud to ensure it sounds natural. So many people, as I read these, I'm like, how did they even read it at all? When I get to some of these words missing and whatnot, read it out loud to yourself, lock yourself in the room, but try that. Proofread it and have a friend proofread it. When it comes to a resume or CV, 0 mistakes are allowed. I can promise you if I'm hiring someone and there's a mistake in their resume, that right there shows they don't have attention to detail. This is the one thing that should have no mistakes. So definitely check it over. Also save it in a Word or PDF file or both. It helps to save in a PDF file because you don't want it going to someone else's. If it's emailed to they open on their computer and suddenly it's changed all your alignment, all your arranging, everything. So save it in your PDF file and do not just name it my resume, because if they click on it or they put in a file, have your name in the top so that it's easy to reference afterwards. And after you've applied for a job, even if you haven't heard from them, follow up after 1 or 2 weeks. It just shows conscientiousness, so it's a good thing to do. Let's see. Key advice. I just want to see what I have in my notes here. I think I've covered everything. Oh, when I talk about the number 1 thing too, just to add on where I said the focus on achievements, not responsibilities. Another way where he talks about the corporate, where Mike here talks about his corporate golf days. Try to put together numbers, do the research, work it out for yourself. And so, for example, another version of his managed 36 corporate golf days over 3 years. That's what I said in the first one, contributing over 240,000 Rand annually to income. 92% of corporate clients returned the following year. That's the kind of stuff you want in your resume or CV, because that's going to show the impact that you are actually having. So try to put the metrics in, try to work out how much you saved a company, how much you added to the bottom line, percentages, things like that look good in a resume. Okay. And these are just 2 random, these are some of the pre-made ones. You can get the pre-set up resume templates. Just be careful. Sometimes they're a little difficult to make changes to over time, but there were some interesting things in here. I like where you've got different colors. You've got the names at the top are very bold. You make them stand out. Contact information, you see how they have it. On the one on the right here, Joseph, I also like another point where he's got education. Now he lists he's got a Bachelor of Science. He doesn't even bother going into high school or matriculated, because if you've got a Bachelor of Science, you've obviously done that already. So as you get further in your career, you don't even have to go into that. And that's where, like I said, don't go into listing your high school classes, things like that. It's what you want to focus on. And you see how much information you can fit onto a CV and still have it looking nice and eye-catching and easy to find all the details that you want in it. I keep wanting to say any questions at the end of every slide, but I can't do that. We're going to wait till the end. We're almost there. Okay. Then we go on to writing the cover letter. This as well, when it comes to you should submit a cover letter with every resume, no matter what. Okay, you can on occasion do it with the email as you email your resume, your CV, but I still think it's better to actually have a separate cover letter that you would send with the CV. First things to note, please write the cover letter from scratch. Do not use AI, do not use a stock cover letter. And the reason I want you to write it from scratch for each job, you may have a sentence or 2 that you carry over. You'll have some things that you carry through, but this is where you showcase your personality. This is where you focus on other things that aren't necessarily as clear in the resume or that you want to stand out more from the resume. But it shows if you aren't writing this from scratch. And for So the PGA knows very well I'm adamant at catching assignments that have been written by AI, and it drives me insane because it is such a boring way of writing. There's a standard sentence structure. There's no personality. It sounds most of the time like it's been spit out by a computer. Fortunately, we haven't gotten that far with AI yet to get too good at it, so I can still pretty readily pick it up. So write the cover letter from scratch. It doesn't have to be long. You see at the bottom, 200 to 400 words, but write in your own words because that is what the person hiring wants to see. Analyze the job description, like I said before, to know what to include so you are topping off on the things that they say they're looking for in the job description. Number 4 is very important. Start with who you are, what you want, and what you believe in. Now, an example of this that I've made up here for you again, let's start with the first part. Start with who you are. I'm a PGA qualified golf professional with 5 years of experience. What you want. Looking to expand my coaching abilities to a full-time coaching role. And what I believe in? I'm excited to learn about your new training academy, and I believe my dedication to growing the game through individually tailored programs would be an excellent fit to your new venture. That's what you want to start it with. And you see, I wrote that myself. AI didn't write that, but it says a lot about you in only 2 sentences. And it gives you it tells you right from the start who I am, what I want, and what I believe in. When you're going through this cover letter, you want to emphasize your value in relation to their needs. You can see that I said, where is it? I'm excited to learn about the training academy. I believe my dedication would be an excellent fit to growing the game. I want to expand my coaching abilities. I'm also talking in relation to what they're looking for. You want to convey in the cover letter how you are going to benefit them, not what you want out of the job. It doesn't help you to say, I want to learn more about coaching and I want to improve my skills at this. You want to take what you have, especially at this point, and show how you're going to take it. Yes, you're going to learn. Yes, you want to learn, but how are you going to help them? What have you already learned that's going to be a benefit for them? They don't want to hire you just to be a leech, just so they can train you and then you go off to something else. They want to hire you so that you make their business better. Use the inverted pyramid style. If you don't know what that is, the old style with writing newspapers. When we read things, and everyone in today's society should notice this with all the stuff you read online, inverted pyramid is where you start with the most important stuff first, the quick, heavy, hard details, and then you go down into the more detailed stuff, but the less important things as you go. So put the bold statements at the top, because you can guarantee they're going to read that. If your letter bores them, they may not read it all the way to the end. So make sure you get your really dramatic points out in the beginning. And do not simply repeat what's on your resume unless you're trying to elaborate on a certain thing you want to stand out. Be enthusiastic, not desperate. Don't ever say anything about, I really need this job. Just be keen. Go back to Mike. Be keen. So be enthusiastic. Show personality and focus on your achievements. Keep it short. And again, please proofread it, read it out loud, and have someone else proofread it too. Especially if your Afrikaans English. I don't ever downgrade for that kind of thing when I'm grading papers. But if you're trying to write something in English and it's not your first language, have someone English speaking that's their first language proof it for you. It just helps so that you sound good, because you never know who's going to be reading it in HR, who it's going to go to. So it's a good thing to do. Okay, and here is last example. I do think it's very nice if you can actually coordinate your cover letter and your resume. Sorry, big sip of coffee. It gives a cohesive and professional look. It helps showcase and present your brand. And we all know nowadays how everyone has a brand and everyone is trying to create their brand. So if you have the similar look, and this is where it's nice because you can then email your cover letter and your resume to them, and it looks very detail oriented. It carries over noted skills. You'll see on this example here, where normally you've got on your left with your CV, your resume, you've got your education, skills, references. Now you can actually carry that over to the cover letter, which isn't a bad thing because you're getting more information that you normally wouldn't get onto a cover letter. So you can have noted extra skills shown on there, and a consistent format makes it easier to compare information in both documents. So with all of this stuff, you need to remember you're kind of trying to tread the line between confidence and ego. You want to be confident, but you don't want to sound arrogant. So that's where it helps to have other people read it, or peers, people that might be able to help you change this, or this comes off when I read the cover letter, it comes off a bit snotty, or it comes off a bit arrogant, that sort of thing. So if you can coordinate them, I think it's a great thing. Okay, now, if everything works, I'm holding thumbs, as you guys say. next bit of my video. Let's see if it's a quick 5-minute, but I think it's really good. And it sort of sums up everything we've talked about. Oh, sorry, after this, here's just the summary. This is, I'll go through this quickly. This is everything that we've gone over, but be honest with yourself, understand who you are, what you want and need, evaluate your potential job opportunities in detail before you start applying to them, find and create personal experience that will benefit your career. You need to make and maintain a career path if you want to achieve it. Remember, it will change, it will adapt, and your CV and resume can only sell you as well as you make it sell you. So don't fall short on effort when it comes to this. Take your time with it. Make something really good, because that's what's going to determine your job, and each job changes the trajectory of your life. If I hadn't gotten the job at Black Wolf Run and Whistling Straits, there's no way I would have ended up in South Africa. I mean, I don't know how different my life would have been. So this is important, and it becomes more and more important with life as you go on. Now, if we can do the next bit. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, Francois, you may need to help me here. Let's see.
Okay, now I'm here on standby.
Sharing. Share sound. Just see if it goes. Can you hear?
Yes, there we go.
I'm going to talk to you about some things I've learned in my journey. Most from experience, some of them I heard in passing. Many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe are true. Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it and get on with it. So the question that we've got to ask ourselves is, what success is to us? What success is to you? Is it more money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill? But first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape. Where you are not is as important as where you are. It is just as important where we are not as it is where we are. Look, the first step that leads to our identity in life is usually not, I know who I am. I know who I am. That's not the first step. The first step's usually, I know who I am not. Process of elimination. Defining ourselves by what we are not is the first step that leads us to really knowing who we are. You know that group of friends that you hang out with that they really might not bring up the best in you? You know, they gossip too much, or they're kind of shady. They really aren't going to be there for you in a pinch. Or how about that bar that we keep going to that we always seem to have the worst hangover from? Or that computer screen, right? The computer screen that keeps giving us an excuse not to get out of the house and engage with the world and get some real human interaction. Or how about that food that we keep eating? Stuff that tastes so good going down, makes us feel like crap the next week. We feel lethargic and keep putting on weight. Well, those people, those places, those things, stop giving them your time and energy. Just don't go there. I mean, put them down. And when you do this, when you do put them down, you quit going there, and you quit giving them your time, you inadvertently find yourself spending more time and in more places that are healthy for you, that bring you more joy. Why? Because you just eliminated the who's, the where's, the what's, and the when's that were keeping you from your identity. Look, trust me, too many options, I promise you this, too many options will make a tyrant of us all. All right, so get rid of the excess, the wasted time. Decrease your options. If you do this, you will have accidentally, almost innocently, put in front of you what is important to you by process of elimination. Knowing who we are is hard. It's hard. Give yourself a break. Eliminate who you are not first, and you're going to find yourself where you need to be. Instead of creating outcomes that take from us, let's create more outcomes that pay us back, fill us up, keep your fire lit, turn you on for the most amount of time in your future. We try our best, we don't always do our best. Well, architecture is a verb as well. And since we are the architects of our own lives, let's study the habits, the practices, the routines that we have that lead to and feed our success, our joy, our honest pain, our laughter, our earned tears. Let's dissect that and give thanks for those things. And when we do that, guess what happens? We get better at them, and we have more to dissect. Be discerning. Choose it because you want it. Do it because you want to. We're going to make mistakes. You got to own them. And you got to make amends. And then you got to move on. Guilt and regret kills many a man before their time. So turn the page. Get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life.
Okay. Hello.
Hey, Kymi, thanks for the presentation. I'm sure we can ask one or two questions. So if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and just ask your question.
I answered everyone's questions already. It's sorted.
Well, while we wait, Kymi, we did have a few thank yous here from the chat. So yeah, from my side also, thanks so much for your time. It was a really good presentation. I enjoyed it, and I'm sure all the pros also did. Seemingly, there's no questions.
I scared him.
Okay, all good. Then we're going to leave it at that. Kymi, thanks again for your time. We appreciate it. To all the pros also that came to watch, thank you as well. Enjoy the rest of your day and the remainder of the week. Kymi, you also enjoy the rest of the week, and then we'll see everyone at the next webinar.
Sounds great. Thank
Cheers,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers.